And good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Alpha X Pro replay cast. We are going to continue our foray into the DreamHack Last Chance qualifiers with this semifinal match. Down here in the bottom position, he is TY. And his opponent up here in the top, the Finnish Phenom, it is SERRAL. So out of these two players, obviously SERRAL is the player to watch. He is kind of the Korean killer at this point, as most of the peninsula has been having trouble going up against him. TY especially has been having some struggle with him. But we do see that he is going to be trying to go start things off with a quite aggressive economic opening, as we do see that first CC dropping on down before the racks has even begun. And so, yeah, we'll have to see what he's able to do with that. Now, SERRAL, as a player, he's one of those guys where you just can't give a single inch to, because he will take a mile. Or for you guys in Europe and the rest of the world, you can't give him a centimeter because he'll take a couple meters. Or a kilometer. Or 2.2 kilometers, maybe. I don't know the metric system. But anyway, right now, everything's looking to be pretty standard out of these guys. I don't think they want to be too aggressive in the first game, just because they don't want to kind of give the other an opening. It is a best of 5, so you do have that little bit of a buffer in games, but it's still never great to go down in a series. And looking at things, oh my goodness, TY, you absolute madman. We have seen a lot of players go for 3CC off the back of their factories, but TY is just taking that to the next level. And going to get that third CC up even before his factory. That does leave him quite open to early aggression. But SERRAL really hasn't scouted at all with this. All right, so it's actually a 2-1-1 off the back of it as well. Just some very interesting moves from TY. I like the innovation here that he's going for. Because against SERRAL, I mean, common stuff doesn't work. You think you're doing well, and then a ton of Lings has just swarmed you in the back. And so right now, you know, SERRAL just kind of scouting around. He does have a lot of good map vision out here with these Overlords and the additional Ling. Looks like he is going to just dive in here with Pneumatize Carapace. So he will get a full scout on what's going on. And that's got to make him feel pretty good, kind of seeing that. Actually, he doesn't see anything just yet, but he does recognize a 2-1-1 when he sees it. He knows that there are a ton of Marines out right now. And that's all he needs to see to throw down that Baneling nest to stay plenty safe. All right, so off the back of this, he is just going to get one more big round of drones to kind of keep himself nice and saturated here. We've got the Evo chamber coming down as well for those upgrades. He's going to, I think he'll be pretty safe versus the 2-1-1. It's never really the 2-1-1 that kills you as the Zerg player. It's the follow-ups. So if TY doesn't have a good follow-up, then SERRAL is just really going to have so much room to breathe, especially if you can kind of get the pickoffs on the medevacs, force TY to kind of stay defensive off the back of it. And yeah, here we go. The medevacs have popped. And they're going to be moving across the map. I don't think it was the best move to drop a couple of Marines out to chase down that one, to chase down that Ling, just because you don't really have a lot with this anyway. It is only 14 Marines, so now he's down to 12. The SCV is going to be pulled off the mineral line as well by those Lings, and this is the problem with going up against SERRAL. You'll move out on the map. You'll expend a lot of your forces to do so. And then SERRAL, with just a couple of Lings, will force you to go back home. All right, there's not a there are a ton of Banes with this, so TY has to be careful of his positioning. Usually he's pretty good on that. He's kind of built his career off being in the right place at the right time. But here we go. SERRAL just going to add in the additional Baneling drop off the back. I don't think TY is really going to be in position to help with that, as his attention more than likely is elsewhere. We do see that he's going to be lifting off in the front. And yeah, we're going to kind of just see these small skirmishes here. We do see TY going to be adding on a couple of additional units to this push. But from here, it's kind of just SERRAL defending with as little as possible. He is on 73 workers. He might like to go up to a little bit more. But he is going to do massive amounts of damage here as TY not paying attention. So 12 workers will go down. The counterattack was going to come his way as well. But TY already sieged up. Unfortunately, he is pretty far away from his siege tanks. He only has a token force back here. And so SERRAL is just going to dive on top of that. Good splits in the front, going to make sure that he doesn't take too much for the Banelings. But this will get almost completely cleaned up here. And it may look like SERRAL is backing off on the retreat, but he's got another big swarm of Lings coming on in. It looks like he's going to be picking off the reinforcements as well. That's going to be pretty huge for this. TY, though, doing a good job here on the fourth. He will be able to clean that up. Transfuses, though, going to save it. Unfortunately, now without the siege tanks, he's going to have to not hit that location. Goes straight for the main base. TY doing fantastic here. The Hydralisks just need to get on top of those medevacs, as we do see SERRAL starting to fall in supply. My goodness. TY just all over the place. Really testing SERRAL's multitasking right now. Now TY, he's just going to leave a token force here in the front and go back home. I hope he doesn't do that for too long here, as doing so will give SERRAL the time he needs to recover. He's already going back up to the fourth base. He's getting the Hydralisks +2 upgrades for the Lings. And we should see him going up to Hive here pretty soon. We don't see the infestation pit just yet, though. Small engagements here and there. It's pretty much just TY poking and prodding, trying to force SERRAL to not making more drones, as he's currently only down on 66. Quite a low number for a Zerg player at this stage in the game. at that. TY still even able to just kind of find these openings. It's really cool to see SERRAL being kind of yanked around like this. We're going to see that 5th base go down. Scan going to reveal that there's not that much really back here. Only a couple of Lings and Hydralisks. The reinforcements do come in. Liberators going to see what they can get done. But TY does have a minefield to retreat back to. Now, the question is, will SERRAL really have the opportunity to get back on TY's side of the map? I hope so soon for his sake. As we are going to see the spawning pool go down. That is a very annoying pickoff. As these will be the last Lings until that's remade. Now TY has dipped in supply now. And unfortunately, he does lift up his entire army. Those Hydras gonna get a couple of clean kills on a full medevac. And now SERRAL is on the warpath here with what he has. Looks like he's not even gonna bother remaking that spawning pool. As I say that, he throws it down. A little bit late there, so he's gonna have to make do with the banelings that he has. But with 14 additional Hydras gonna be coming in, he will be able to clean up the 3rd base. 11 workers going down. And I mean, TY starting to fall heavily in terms of that supply. Just taking a look at that army size. That dip is tremendous. Oh my god, look at that. I think that was a little bit of a mistake here. He did sacrifice all of these SCVs for not much gain. Getting an additional spawning pool as well, just to make sure that if one goes down, he will be able to recover. And I mean, from here, we've seen that huge dip in TY's supply that really just, oh my gosh, SERRAL is insane. He takes so much damage and yet is still able to recover off the back of it. And now, with these additional drones coming in, he's just going to be able to pump out army units, pump out the upgrades, and just, oh my goodness. This is the scary point for TY because he's going to start being overwhelmed if he's not careful. What's the tank count looking like? It's not looking very healthy, and he is only making 2 at a time, or 1 at a time rather. That's a bit of a mistake versus Ling Hydra. You do need those siege tanks to help deal with the Hydralisks in the back. Small drop, not really going to get too much done. A huge liftoff here, and the Hydras are going to clean up a lot of those medevacs. Now, unfortunately, TY, he's been fighting on creep for the longest time. So that's really hurting him as it's allowing the reinforcements of SERRAL to effectively come back and really pounce on him at all times. Now we see SERRAL just kind of pushing that out a little bit further. Going to be trying to open up a path, it looks like. TY does have a good concave, but SERRAL just has the numbers right now. Gotta say, neither side really going for a late game situation. We still don't see that hive, and we still don't see any additional tech for TY. But we'll have to see if that matters. The banelings not getting the best of connections, but they are still connecting on the front lines. The Hydralisks, almost untouched, are going to be able to just dive on top of this location. The Marine count a little bit stronger than he would like, but he still has so much here. He will be able to kill off the main that was floated over for the 5th. And TY down below 100 supply. SERRAL doesn't have enough to commit, though. He needs to, he needs to back off, lick his wounds a little bit, and come back for the killing blow if he wants to be completely sure. Even though the Baileys are going to be going down over here, we do have a little bit of a wraparound backstab for SERRAL. That's going to be great for picking off these reinforcements. Yeah, just kind of keeping TY down where it can. Let's take a look at the units lost tab. SERRAL actually being very efficient with his units. Just making sure that he's really bringing the hurt. And now, she's going to dive on top again. I still would like to see him kind of throw down that hive. I think he's got the room to breathe in order to do it. The production is a little bit camped here with these, as we do see another big attack going for the 5th, which is the natural. Plenty of siege tanks to help out, but the army is starting to get trapped here for TY. Tons of SCVs falling. The Marines go down, and that was the last-ditch effort. GG is called, and SERRAL will take game number 1. So as we move on to game number 2, spawning up here in the top position, it is TY. And his opponent down here in the bottom, give it up for SERRAL. Now, TY not going to mix it up this time. He's learned his lesson. Although he did get a lot of good early game damage, it just wasn't enough for the follow-up. Once he kind of left SERRAL alone a little bit more, that's when it really just started to go against him there. SERRAL started to get those trades that he needed. He was able to get the Baneling drop in undetected. And, you know, TY just never really was able to recover for that. We didn't see really any additional tech from him. He did make 2 Liberators, which he used for harassment, but there was no other Liberators, just nothing. He didn't even really have a strong tank production either. So SERRAL was just really over to, English, it's terrible, never use it. But he was just really able to wear him down. Death by 1,000 cuts. In order to kind of kill him there, even though he did stay on lair tech the entire time. Now the Reaper is going to be coming on in. Will actually get a kill there. SERRAL not fast enough to deal with that. Does get the 3rd base down though unabated, so that is a nice little win for him there. The first Reaper can be a little bit annoying, but the golden grail of Reaper damage is actually getting that first creep tumor. Just kind of slowing down the creep spread is very important for a Terran player. TY is going to be going for the 3CC. And what this allows a Terran player to do, which I really like, is it allows him to stay almost equal in terms of that economy. It allows you to power up to that 3-base economy very, very quickly. And for Terrans, that's the most important stage, is that 3-base. That's really when your economy is going to peak at its highest level. And yeah, just really allow you to get those really concerted pushes, because you do need to stay aggressive versus a Zerg player. You really can't afford to let up. You need to get that drone damage, and you need to keep going. Now, off the back of this, we do have Cloak on the way for that one Banshee coming in, but this has all been scouted. Actually, did he cancel the Banshee? Oh, okay, so TY going for the mind games in this series. That is pretty cool to see. He's pretending like it's still going to be Cloak, but he will cancel that as soon as he feels like SERRAL can't see him anymore. Yeah, he's kind of just hanging around, chilling out, and exploring the edge of the creek. The Pult Viking doing good work here. Just trying to prevent any additional scouting. We do see the Baneling Nest coming down, as well as Lair. You know, it's kind of interesting to see. The fact that he hasn't really sent the Hellions in number kind of tells me that they're not really meant as harassment units. I feel like he is just going to concentrate on a big push, and he wants to keep the Hellions alive to bait into turn into Hellbats, so that he can kind of just get that stronger push location. Now SERRAL is going to clean up a couple of these nice siege tank positions. Just wants to make sure that he stays safe in that regard. And I mean, he does have his Baneling Nest. He will have speed. His +1 upgrades roughly the same time as TY, so he's not going to fall behind in that regard. And yeah, I think he's really got all the tools that he needs to stay safe and move on to the later stages of the game, which, by the way, it's going to be Ling Hydra once again. All right, so this big push should start to push out as that 1-1 starts to complete. We do have the armory coming on down so that he will be able to start +2, but more importantly, he will be able to get those Hellions morphed in to augment his forces. Here we go. Creep, though, spread very far forward, so TY, if he wants to set up in position, he's going to have to drive across the purple carpet for a long, long way. Does get to clean up a lot of that. Pretty good. SERRAL, though, setting up the very nice surround here, just waiting for TY to move too far forward. TY just going to position himself at the top of the ramp. Moves forward a little bit further. The Queens do have to back up here. They don't really have a lot of transfuse energy left. The reinforcements come in unabated, but here we go. The surround is set. The Marines do get cleaned up quite handily here. The siege tanks firing away. They do get a couple of additional shots off before going down. But TY has lost this position, so I don't think he should continue this push. He is making quite a few Marines, but that's not really going to be enough to push through this location. Take a look at that army drop. That is quite a big drop there. All right. So now TY going to go for the next best thing. Double prong harassment on both sides here. SERRAL, though, does have enough units to kind of force this back, and there's not really that much splash to go along with these units. Looks like SERRAL just going to kind of test the waters here. He does see that there's quite a few Marines, so he doesn't want to overextend. And we do see in this game, he's not going to fall behind in terms of that tech anymore because he is going up to Hive. Now, that will open up a couple of opportunities for him. He can go into Lurkers if he so chooses, which will help out a lot if TY does stay very Marine heavy. He can get those Vipers to deal with the siege tanks a lot easier. And he can get those +3 upgrades, adrenal glands, just everything that you really want in a late game Zerg. Oh no, TY does get spotted here. Is he paying attention? I think he just detonated by accident one of his banelings there, but I digress. He doesn't get the medevac, but that's a lot of supply of TY that's not going to be there for this next big push. SERRAL setting up for the flank here. And TY, he is maxed out. He's going for a very committed push, but it's this backstab that's the real story here. Will TY go home? It looks like the answer is no. SERRAL is just going to drop right on top of this army. But he will have to back up here. Gets a little bit closer to his bases. That's going to be very important for him. Like the drop does get cleaned up here. SERRAL trying to fight off the creep and respread it at the same time. Not going to be able to do so, except with a couple of tumors here. But he does have quite a few banelings, over 50 banelings. That's almost one baneling for every 2 Marines. But we do see the backstab going to be coming into the 4th base. It does get forced back. But now TY just trying to set himself up in a kind of forward aggressive position, force SERRAL to stay at home. But, man, this is just a hard situation here because every second that TY waits, that's just a better position for SERRAL. Looks like they had a bit of a pause here. And yeah, TY kind of just hanging out. I think one thing that SERRAL can kind of wait for here, as long as he kind of keeps TY in this non-committed positioning, is that he can get those +3 upgrades, which will help out in the fight quite a bit. I think he already does have adrenal glands. He does. So those lings are going to hit quite hard. SERRAL going for a bit of a counterattack here. Will get the planetary fortress, as well as a couple of SCVs. A good chunk of his army is still at home to help out. The Vipers will move on forward. A couple of good yoinks, but they still will get a couple of good shots off. One Viper getting incredibly low on health, but that will survive. And TY just plummeting in supply with that fight, and SERRAL still completely maxed out. And the problem as well is that creep spread just giving so much vision so far forward. SERRAL doing a really good job of keeping that in a location where he can see these pushes for miles before they get there. And again, just setting up these backstabs while a majority of his army is hanging on out. TY not maxed out just yet. But here we go. The blinding clouds all over the siege tanks will force TY to back on out of there again. And he's just never really able to find a good position, as SERRAL can just rotate around quite efficiently here. TY does get the 5th base up in the corner, but it's not really going to help him out too much here, as SERRAL going to be moving in with a handful of Hydralisks, just making sure that that location is not going to work. Misses a blinding cloud and actually spends a lot of banelings there. I think that was a huge mistake for SERRAL. That was a ton of banelings wasted on the siege tank. But he does force TY to lift off here, so that is a saving grace. I thought that was a drop coming in. Yeah, now we see this position. TY has to play it defensive while he builds back up. The Ultralisks are going to be coming in. The Lurkers are getting their upgrades. And what does TY really have? He's got Marauders, Marines, and tanks. He doesn't have any Ghosts. He doesn't even have the Academy up. And he doesn't have any Liberators in the sky. He doesn't have any... really anything that a Terran player should have versus SERRAL's composition. Looks like the scan's going to be going down, trying to clear up some of that creep, but now he sees the Ultralisks and he knows what kind of trouble he's in. Instantly drops a couple of Ghosts here. I guess he did have the Academy down. But the Baneling's going to get right on top of the 5th, or 4th rather. That will go down, so he's going to have to lift up his main base to make up for that. I think we're pretty much seeing, once again, this death by 1,000 cuts from SERRAL. All right. So even just adding in the Spy for good measure here, I think SERRAL knows he has this game in the bag, so he's just hedging his bets with every sort of tech that he can. A couple of good snipes going to clean up some of those Ultralisks, but now the Banelings going to get on top of a lot of these Ghosts. They won't start to fall, but the Ultras are just caving their way through. Even though they are starting to fall, they're just getting a ton of splash done on those Marines. And even though SERRAL is forced back here, look at that, 100 lings on the production tab. SERRAL has a bank as well. TY completely broke. Taking a look at that income advantage, over 3,000 minerals. And there you have it. SERRAL cleaning up the last of TY's forces. He will move on to game number 3 on match point. See you in a sec. So this man down here, he is down, but he's certainly not out. He needs to win the next 3. So give your energy to our red Terran player. Down here in the bottom, it's TY. And his opponents up here in the top, really crushing these games in the late game. He is from Finland, SERRAL. He also is not making a hatchery right now. So he might be getting a little bit tired of these late game scenarios. Might just want to kind of close things out. Nice and early with this. We should be seeing, more than likely he's not going to commit very heavily to this, but if you can kind of delay the CC from going down for TY, that's going to set you up in a pretty good mid-game where you are going to be able to just stay a little bit safer as you drone up to that 80, 90 worker count. where you can just explode in terms of the army. All right. So that factory is going on down. It looks like TY skipping the Reaper. Just, you know, the thing about the Reaper, what I've been noticing a lot recently is that players have been kind of just deciding to go for this faster reactor timing, which does allow you to stay a little bit safer versus these more aggressive openings. You do stop yourself from getting map vision on the other side of the map, but it doesn't really just matter that much because you can kind of get that SCV on there, confirm what's coming your way. But yeah, SERRAL kind of just hanging out. He's probably waiting, expecting the Reaper timing before moving on in. He's going to have a little bit of a surprise though. All right, TY gets vision. So he does know that he needs to kind of position his units in such a way that he's not going to lose them. He only saw 4, however, so the Marines might get caught out completely here as the Lings get a wrap around. The Hellions do come out in the nick of time, so those will be able to force this back. SERRAL doesn't get a ton there, but he does get to get a couple of kills. Nice. Excellent. All right, so it looks like TY is going to be dropping these Hellions into the main base. If he can get some damage done, that would be fantastic. SERRAL kind of just spreading out his creep, getting the third base up, and he'll probably start saturating that a little bit more. Oh, the Hellions just barely missed their chance to go into the natural. We do have the Queens in position as well. So he will just go on home. He doesn't feel confident enough to really get in there. No big deal. He still has that's actually quite a few Hellions, I must say. Wanting to keep them alive would be pretty nice because you can augment them with your forces. And that will allow you to kind of get that very powerful push, as even the Banelings won't be able to connect with the Marines in the back. All right, looks like the Hellions are going to just dive on in here, deciding against it at the very last second. I got to say, he is taking quite a bit of damage on a lot of these Hellions before they can actually be useful. I'm a little worried about that. I think that was a Viking, I believe. I have no idea what that was. Yeah, TY just trying to find his angles. Not really able to kind of connect just yet with those mineral lines like he would like. Might get a queen, though. That would be pretty nice. Oh, but the transfuses do save it. And so the Hellion will go down. The Raven getting 6 kills, but I think a good majority of those were Lings. Yeah, from here, SERRAL's pretty safe. I gotta say, he hasn't taken any drone damage whatsoever. Kind of taking a look at that economic advantage as well. It's starting to skyrocket in his favor because TY only just now starting to drop those mules. And so really, SERRAL feeling pretty darn safe as he's going up to Spire Tech. Ooh, okay, so just going to get some mutas to go along with this. All right, so this push is going to hit at roughly the halfway point for those +1 upgrades. He's actually just going to dive on top of the Queens, getting 3 fast and furious pickoffs there. The armory is not done just yet, so he can't augment with the Hellbats. But the missile turrets going to mess up the pathing here for these Banelings. They did have to try and go around the hatchery. That gets killed off. Excellent start here from TY. So now TY gonna back off after a hard-fought victory there. SERRAL is just gonna take what looks to be a further away 4th base to keep himself a little bit safer. That will allow him as well to take this base as his 5th. Demeter's kind of just diving around, trying to find some damage, but they don't get on top of the mineral line either, really. Taking a look at that, only 3 drones total going down in this game. Actually, though, TY being very efficient with his units. Now we see this situation where SERRAL can really start to shine. He's going for a pretty large backstab and will be able to get on top of a lot of these reinforcements. The siege tank's gonna go down, and TY actually just gonna retreat here. He knows that he needs to save this base. SCV is starting to fall, but they will save the missile turret from going down. The one in the main base does fall, however, so those SCVs are now no longer safe from the Scourge of the Sky. Production is being camped. We'll get a couple of reactors here before he does decide to leave. Nice pickoffs overall. He just needs to keep those mutas safe. Overall, I think that was a really good move there from SERRAL. Now he kind of shoots up in the supply, 171 to 136. He cleans up the last of this push, and now he has full map control. As SERRAL, or TY rather, going to be playing it a little bit more defensively for the next couple of minutes as he rebuilds his army. Going to be coming on in. They don't have enough. They do clean up the missile turret there, so the 4th base is going to be under threat. Really, their purpose right now is just kind of dive around. Oh my goodness, if they could get the upgrades, that would be fantastic. The Thor, though, is going to get a massive connection, so that is not going to happen. Alright, here we go. SERRAL going to try and dive in here. The Hellbats, though, tanking way too much of the damage. It was all just the front, however, as SERRAL going to get right on top of the 4th base. Wasting a lot of lings in doing so. There you go, using the Banelings to kind of clean that up. Now, TY is going to take this as a chance to move in. Gets a clean kill on a bunch of those mutants as well. We do see Burrow on the way, so potentially burrowed Banelings coming on down. We will have to see on that front. TY also supply blocked quite heavily. So here we go. So they're going to try and pick off some of those reinforcements, but TY is bunching them up. Dorito Cannon going to blanket a lot of this, so this orange Zerg does need to retreat. Sacrificing what was his fourth base is a pretty smart move here. I don't think you really want to engage in here. I don't even think he was really mining off that. And he's going to be rolling on in. The Widow Mines do fall. But there's still plenty of Marines to back this up. SERRAL is just really starting to work down TY. Like, I'm just really worried for TY right now, as we do have that hive coming on up. We don't see the additional tech. He does have that second factory, but I mean, Thors are going to start to lose their utility here pretty soon, as they can get surrounded quite easily by the Lings. Adrenal Gland is going to chew through them. Yeah, now TY maxed out. And we're going to have to see how much he does decide to commit to a move out here. All right, so we do have a little Baneling ball, but it's the above ground Banelings you got to look out for. Thor's going to get a couple of connections, but they will start to falter here. Not that much over here for TY. I gotta say, he's very spread out, which is great, as well as those Widow Mines. But with the additional Lings coming on in, SERRAL is just going to pounce on that. Oh my goodness, I hope he gets a chance to detonate those Banes as well. That would be hilariously good. TY though, finding some good damage on this side. He is forced back. A couple of decent connections on those Banes. But TY does keep enough back so that he can retreat. And SERRAL not going to be able to follow. Although SERRAL is going to follow. And unfortunately, he's going to lose quite a few of his Lings to that minefield. And that's going to be kind of the counter here to... or the ticket to his retreat. Alright, so SERRAL just going to dive on top of this, leave a token force at home. The Thor going to do some good work to these Mutalisks. They're going to take massive amounts of damage, and their herd has essentially been thinned out to almost nothing here. That might have been a misstep from SERRAL. He does only get 7 workers for that. And TY just going to press himself forward. He is on top of the 4th. Or 5th. 3rd. It's the 3rd. I can't count. All right. SERRAL just kind of waiting to pounce. He wants to bait TY a little bit further forward. But TY not really taking the bait. He is content to kind of force SERRAL to stay at home at this location. Just now going to back off into the Widow Mine field. Huge connections on those mines. Going to thin out the Ling number quite heavily. But SERRAL has kind of expanded quite nicely. Even though he got taken down on one side, he is just going to kind of just seesaw around. between these two places. The Baneley's trying to get on top here. The Widowmines don't get any connections. So SERRAL just continuously retreating right now. And we have this essentially stalemate where both sides are trading out versus each other, but never really having enough to move any further than their closest base. Oh, the Banelings. Not going to detonate them just yet. As we do see TY going to go for a little bit of a double prong here. The Ultras moving their way forward. Has to be careful not to fight off a creep. They don't have the they don't have anabolic synthesis just yet. There we go, just now. So now they can chase down the bio. They're spending a lot of banelings to clean this up. SERRAL Supply still ahead, just barely. But he's not really producing too much here. Only 16 lings, 10 additional bane, or 16 banes, 10 additional lings. You're gonna need a lot more production than that if you want to keep up, especially as TY just going for this very continuous push down in the bottom, as well as rotating up here to the top with another force. That's a lot of medevacs. So SERRAL, you know, he is going to lose another base here. That's kind of unavoidable at this point. There's not that much on it, but you do want to kind of keep that alive for the larva. We do see TY. He has the Ghost Town up as well to deal with the Ultras. So maybe it's time for SERRAL to kind of do a transition once again. You know, you can either go back into heavy muta play, rebuild the swarm up, or on the flip side of that, you can just you can go into lurkers. You can pretty much do whatever you want at this point. You're just pumping out units. Even though he's losing the bases, he hasn't been losing the drone count, which is the important thing to keep in mind here. Snipe's going to go off, but a lot of those ghosts do fall in the front. The Widowmines basically being the saving grace of this, as those Ultras taking massive amounts of damage. SERRAL once again going to be forced back. Both sides keep an eye out on the income. Both sides are essentially stint broke. And with the Banelings actually getting some really nice connections there on the front. SERRAL's able to force this back. And TY supply is plummeting. The problem is, once again, the Ultras don't really have the health to push in here anymore. Like, he's going to have to get a couple of queens out there in the front to transfuse if he wants to go any further forward. Getting to a literal fever pitch here as TY has been forced back so many times. The Widowmine wants to get a shot off on that mineral line, but not going to be able to do so. Essentially, it's just TY rebuilding his forces right now. Nothing really too much else to say. The Muta's not really in a high enough number here, although they do have +2 attack. So they will do a little bit more damage. And TY is doing a pretty good job, as well as just trying to deny mining to this location. He will lose a base for it, however. I mean, really, TY can't afford to be losing these bases anymore, just from the fact that he hasn't really been mining on too many of them. You know, TY does get another big snipe right there, but Once SERRAL loses one base, he just seesaws to the other side of the map and drops down an additional hatchery. Forces the pickup. The Mutas can dive on top of those if they so desire, as TY gonna just try and clean up some of the creep. He doesn't really have the scans to do so, and that's really hurting him here as his third base is completely under threat. The reinforcements should be able to clean this up, but 14, 15 SCVs going down. We should be seeing more start to fall. As the TY down over 40 army supply right now. SERRAL long distance mining just until that hatchery is complete. Repair. No repair. So the CC does go down as well. And I think that's really kind of the nail in the coffin for TY here. It's 32 workers. Oh my goodness. Mules are fantastic, but they're not going to make up that kind of deficit. And he's even supply blocked from losing so many of those depots at the front. Spreading his forces quite thin to make sure that he doesn't take those bad Banelink connections, because every single unit counts at this point. Yeah, here we go. The Infestors getting the surround. One big fungal. And I think that's pretty much all she wrote for TY, down over 60 supply. All he has are these Marines and the Widow Mines, but SERRAL can just disengage and re-engage wherever he so chooses. One good fungal and it's pretty much over for these Marines as well. 11 SCVs falling, 16 workers total. And yeah, TY should be seeing the tap out here. GG is called. SERRAL has moved on to the grand finals with this. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what we see, hit like, favorite, and subscribe. And we will see you guys at the next big event.